Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Michael Wald, otherwise known as the Blood Detective, and I want to welcome you to this brief but practical presentation that I call Internet Addiction. To reach me with questions or topic suggestions, you can call me at 914-552-1442, or you can email me at info@blooddetective.com. So let's get into this important topic. To begin with, I just want to mention a disclaimer that the information I'll be reviewing with you now is for informational purposes only. It's not meant as a substitute for sound medical or health advice. So what we'll do is start with a bit of a definition of internet addiction, which is a compulsive need to use the internet excessively, interfering with daily life, work, and relationships. And I can tell you, my experience seeing individuals with internet addiction is quite profound. It changes you because you see how a person's life literally goes down the tubes with internet addiction. So I'll be talking about some of the traditional ways of approaching internet addiction, along with some holistic ways too of shoring up the person to increase the probability of them breaking this addiction. So some of the common signs of internet addiction include a preoccupation with online activities, loss of control over one's usage of time over the internet, withdrawal symptoms when offline, when a person attempts to cut down their internet scrolling, let's say, they develop irritability and anxiety, also depression, insomnia. And then they neglect personal and professional responsibilities to different extents. And then there's what's known as doomsday scrolling, which is the obsessive compulsion of negative news or social media updates, which lead to heightened stress and anxiety and other conditions. Let's face it, chronic stress, no matter what the cause, can lead to or trigger any number of diseases, including heart attacks and hypertension, for example. So key features of the doomsday scrolling include constant refreshing of news feeds, focus on the worst case scenario and alarming content on the internet, difficulty disengaging, even when it is obviously impacting a person's health. And obviously the ultimate cure is to set screen time limits. And, that requires the proper psychological care. I like to incorporate life coaching with clients that I have with doomsday scrolling attributes or internet issues and internet scrolling, because it's one thing to talk to a person and to identify, let's say, cognitive errors or thinking errors, which can get someone in trouble in the first place. But those are the things that really need to be focused on, because if a person doesn't have the proper coping mechanisms and proper cognitive ways of dealing with these particular addictions, they're going to keep doing them. But in addition to the life coaching and working on these thinking errors, there's also the use of nutrition to change one's biochemistry, somewhat like what we hope medications might do, to make the person's individual efforts to withdraw easier. So a combination of psychological therapies like traditional therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, life coaching, and the use of nutritional supplements and diet is the best single approach, and is in fact what the blood detective approach is. So again, just to reiterate, what is internet addiction? Who's affected? Teens and young adults are most vulnerable, but it can affect people of all ages. And there's an increased prevalence in individuals with anxiety, depression, and stress. So anxiety, depression, and stress predispose a person to internet scrolling and doomsday scrolling, and that just compounds the problem, obviously. And then we have health problems that are triggered by internet scrolling or doomsday scrolling. And there are physical health issues and there are mental health issues. So the sedentary lifestyle leads to overweight and obesity and obviously cardiovascular problems. Lifespan itself simply is shortened for those who sit when they could be standing, and those who stand that could be walking. And then there's eye strain and headaches, migraine triggering, poor posture, sleep disturbances due to the screen overexposure, and various mental health issues, increased anxiety, as I mentioned, depression, feelings of isolation, reduced attention span, and productivity are just some of the adverse effects experienced by those who doomsday scroll and internet scroll. So let's talk about what we can do medically and holistically to approach this problem. Well, from a medical perspective, I'm a big fan of cognitive behavioral therapy for addressing compulsive behaviors. It's been shown to be extremely effective. Sometimes, again, it's not the only thing that's needed, but in some individuals, the use of CBT and also medications to treat any underlying anxiety or depression is, of course, important. Now, holistically, there are usually natural means of dealing with depression, anxiety, and sleep problems. And also the stress hormones can also be offset with proper diet, at least to some extent. And of course, exercise helps there as well. So in terms of lifestyle changes, we want to schedule these screen times so that we can detox a person slowly off of the internet addiction. And then in terms of mindful practices such as meditation, yoga, deep breathing exercises, I focus on these quite a bit with my clients with this issue, and they're lifesavers when used in context with some of the other things that I'm talking about here. And physical activity, exercises for reducing stress and trying to change a person's focus from being online to their lives. So this is a process. It must include proper therapy and/or life coaching along with nutritional adjuncts. But I did think that it would be a good idea to at least give you people watching at least some idea of what specific nutrition I'm talking about. Now, the nutrition in terms of diet and supplements really should be personalized based on the client's actual needs. But I've listed about 10 different nutrients here, which are among those that any competent nutritionist should think about. And in my case, also having a few doctorates, I'm allowed to do laboratory work to help pinpoint the nutritional issues much more precisely. But in general, we want to think about omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation in the brain. And we know that inflammation is increased with internet addiction. MCT oil, modified citrus, medium chain triglycerides, that's what MCTs stand for. The reason why coconut is so healthy is because of its content of medium chain triglycerides. These medium chained triglycerides act as fuel to repair the nervous system, and it's important for what's called neuroplasticity, because adverse neuroplastic issues or degeneration, even atrophy of the brain, has been linked to internet scrolling. Then the use of GABA, which is an inhibitory or relaxing neurotransmitter. The use of magnesium, the right type of magnesium in the right person at the right dose. The use of antioxidants, which protect against oxidative stress from electromagnetic radiation, but also just the stress of what's going on in the person's head in terms of their reactions to what they're seeing online. And then, of course, a clean diet free of sugar, stimulants like coffee, caffeine that is, and to remove refined and processed foods and to add diet that is more plant-based, which is obviously healthy. And I'm not saying that everyone with internet issues, let's say, needs a diet that's neurotic. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying, though, is the proper diet can help support a lot of different ways in which the body deals with the stress of internet scrolling. So dark green leafy vegetables, berries, nuts, seeds, fermented foods, all very important for gut and brain health. So that's pretty much it in this short introduction. So in summary, the blood detective method is holistically minded because we're going to look at not just the psychological aspects of someone's internet issues and doomsday scrolling, but also what's the role of their sleep and their stress and their coping mechanisms and their foods, all of that. And then there's treating a person not just from a disease care perspective with these issues, but from a healthcare perspective. And a healthcare perspective looks for problems, it looks for natural ways of managing them, and then teaches the person how to live in a way that they can take care of themselves and make self-adjustments over time. That is what is necessary for long-term success with this type of scrolling issue. And then the use of looking at one's biochemistry, their laboratory, their testing, maybe the neurotransmitters for the brain and the oxidative stress I've been talking about and the inflammation. And then based on that, looking at the results of the test and comparing them not just to average men or women that are the age of the person doing the test. That's what regular blood tests do. Did you know that? They actually compare the results of your test to other men or women in your age group. They're not comparing it to super healthy men or women, but that's what the blood detective method is. I compare people to ranges on different tests that have been associated with much better health beyond just average. And then there's doing the various tests, testing that may take 6 or more different medical practitioners to get them all done. Which you'll just never see in traditional medicine. Doctors do not like to do testing out of their own fields. But as a blood detective, I'm not restricted to doing testing in only one area of health. So if I want to check someone's neurotransmitters, well, I can do that. And that's great in the world of psychology. But if I want to also check the digestive health and its effect upon the brain and one's ability to become addicted, let's say, again, that's another specialist. So we get to look at all of this. And if you're working with specialists for this problem and you'd like them to talk to me, I'm available. So once again, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Dr. Michael Wald. You've been listening to The Blood Detective. This is a conversation on internet scrolling and doomsday scrolling. You can take advantage of my free 15-minute phone consultation, and you can call me at 914-552-1442, or you can email me at info@blooddetective.com. I've also got plenty of free content at the website at www.drmichaelwald.com. Thank you so much. We'll see you at the next one.